Deus Ex The Fall. So today I'm going to attempt to do a review of this game. So I'm going to divide this review into two parts. The first part I'm going to be talking about the technical side of things, and the second part I'm going to be talking about some of the more atmospheric and narrative based qualities of the game. Those of you who are die-hard Deus Ex fans like myself will kind of understand why I've decided to do this review in two parts like this. Okay, so this game was released yesterday for the PC, but it's been around on the mobile devices, well, since last year. And I checked the Google Play Store, and it's a pretty highly rated game. However, on the Steam Store, Deus Ex The Fall is really not rated very highly at all. Now, it is very clear that this is a PC port of a mobile game. They're really not trying to cover it up whatsoever. They've almost basically said, look, we've been working on this game for the mobile devices. Just, you can have a go on it if you want on the PC, but don't get your hopes up. It kind of had that kind of quality to it as a game. They clearly didn't aim for it to be a serious PC effort. And most video game journalists that I follow really do not like the game, and they kind of feel insulted by this sentiment. Okay, so it is a buggy game. I had to reinstall it once before it would work, which, well, it's 2 gig to download, so it didn't take forever to do, but it certainly was something that I could have done without. And like I said, it's definitely you can tell that it's a port right outside the box. For example, if you want to scroll down through the text in a window, you scroll it through in a similar way that would be befitting of a touchscreen rather than a scroll bar or anything like that. There are also some quirks to it which I really didn't get. For example, you can't rebind the keys. They give you a set of keys for your keyboard and mouse, and you have to live with it. So, and some of those keys are a little bit counterintuitive as well. There's also a problem with mouse acceleration. Even on sensitivity 10, my mouse really sort of struggled to actually feel comfortable. It could have used a greater amount of sensitivity. There's also a fair amount of clipping in the game, and the lip syncing, as in, sort of the lips and the facial expressions, they were pretty bad as well. And all of these things would probably be lesser sins on a mobile platform, and they didn't really seem to make too much of an effort to rectify this for the PC. It looked pretty much like a direct emulation. Of course, as you'd expect, the textures are lower res, and the general graphics just aren't as good. The interface has been simplified. Again, you'd kind of expect that, and I guess I'm going to be more forgiving than a lot of its harsher critics, because I'm not expecting a full game. It comes with the price tag of, I think it was £8 and $10 American or thereabouts. And I would have liked that to have been a little bit cheaper, but they did throw in a copy of Deus Ex, the original Game of the Year edition, so that kind of sweetened the pill a little bit. Unfortunately, I actually already own that particular game, though, so yeah. So yeah, definitely from a technical aspect, it's not a full game, and it's supposedly reflected in the price. The controls are not great, but I'm kind of hoping that they'll iron them out later on down the line. The trouble is with these slipping standards with quality control in the video game industry is that if you buy a game on release day, you're effectively signing up to be a beta tester, and it really shouldn't be that way. But at least it kind of means, especially with digital distribution the way it is nowadays, is that if you do find a bug in a game, that there is a chance that they might patch it, whereas perhaps 10 years ago that was a lot less likely. So, yeah, from a technical standpoint, the game does not rate very highly. So, the second half of this review is going to be talking about the narrative and going to be talking about the atmosphere. Okay, so the narrative of the game is pretty much lifted directly from Deus Ex: The Icarus Effect, which is the novelization of the Deus Ex universe, and it's a pretty good novel at that. It follows a character called Ben Saxon and Anna Kelso, so 2 characters it kind of follows, among others, and they are featured in the game as well. And they're featured in the game quite closely to the characters on the book, to the point where they look like the characters who are pictured on the cover of the book. So there is a direct inspiration there, and I don't think they try and hide that either. In fact, they go so far as to actually quote lines from the book in the game, which is a nice little nod to the diehard Deus Ex fans like myself, who actually sort of take in a lot more of the Deus Ex media than perhaps a more casual gamer would. So I like to see that nod to the fans. That is definitely a good thing. The voice act, sort of the atmosphere. Now, I mean, the voice acting isn't great, but let's be completely honest here. There isn't a Deus Ex game where the voice acting is great. It's good, even. It's always subpar. That's kind of part of the Deus Ex charm now at this section. If they brought out another Deus Ex game with fantastic voice acting, it wouldn't feel like a Deus Ex game. And that's kind of where it's going, is that with the atmosphere of the game, it is Deus Ex. And that's what I paid for. Basically what I'm trying to say is that it does feel like a Deus Ex game, and that's essentially what I wanted out of this game. I wanted a Deus Ex experience. I didn't want a great first-person shooter. I didn't want a, visually stunning video game. I wanted something with a particular atmosphere that only the Deus Ex games have brought. So a lot of people are saying that the smaller level design is kind of taking away from the Deus Ex atmosphere, but it's important to bear in mind that when the original Deus Ex was ported across to the PlayStation 2, they had to redesign the levels and make them smaller, because that's the only way that the PlayStation 2 could cope with it. Let's not forget that Deus Ex Invisible War had much smaller levels as well, and whereas a lot of people think that that was an absolute failure, I actually quite like Deus Ex Invisible War. Again, it's a game where a lot of the technical aspects of it were absolutely terrible, were abysmal, but it still felt like a Deus Ex game. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I kind of feel the same way about Deus Ex The Fall as I do about Deus Ex Invisible War. I know that it's a wildly unpopular game in the Deus Ex franchise, but it still, to me, holds the Deus Ex qualities of its atmosphere and its narrative. And that's really what I paid my money for, and that's really what I want out of the experience. And I'm willing to overlook a lot of technical faults to get that, and clearly I'm going to have to. But I've played the game from beginning to end. If you want to see it played from beginning to end, I've done a Let's Play of it, which I'm going to be releasing around now. And you know what? I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. And that's it. That's what I want. It might be a little bit on the pricey side for what you actually get out of it, and I probably at this stage would only recommend diehard Deus fans who perhaps might have enjoyed Invisible War to get it at this stage. But for everyone else, maybe perhaps wait until it's patched. Maybe wait until it's in a Steam sale, and you'll probably be able to pick it up for a pound or $2 or something like that. In which case, then I would perhaps recommend people to get it. But I don't regret paying what I paid for it. I paid full price, and I did enjoy it, and that's all you can really ask of it. I got the Deus Ex experience. Okay, so before I go, there's one more thing I'd like to leave with you guys. When I bought Deus Ex The Fall, they also included the original Deus Ex Game of the Year edition in with the bundle. Now, of course, me being a diehard Deus Ex fan, I already own the Game of the Year edition. So, if any of you guys would like a copy, if you don't already own it, feel free to leave your Steam ID down in the comments section below, and I'll pick one of you guys at random in a couple of days and send you over a copy of the game, because I need to get rid of it, really. There's no point in me keeping it around, because I'd only be having 2 copies of the same game. So anyway, guys, thank you very, very, very much for watching. Like I said, I will be releasing my Let's Play sort of around the same time that I'll be releasing this review. Until next time, I've been Chris Ware, and you've been awesome. Take care now.